This is how the Terry versus Ohio balancing test works for stopping and frisking someone when you don't need, because you don't need probable cause to stop or frisk someone. You just need a reasonable articular suspicion that there's crime afoot, or that maybe you see a bulge in someone's pocket that you think is I'm sorry, it cannot be drugs. It can only be a weapon. It has to be like, shaped like a gun or like a knife. It can't be like a little dime bag of like crack. You know what I'm talking about. But so I did it on the whiteboard for you guys to see. So basically, you start with the Terry stop. Was there a search or a seizure under the Fourth Amendment? If yes, it's judged under an objective, reasonable standard. So you go and you look. This is for a stop. So one line is for a stop, one line is for a frisk. So if you're stopped, you ask, okay, well, like, what was the officer's actions in doing it? How long, What was the government intrusion? How much did they intrude into this? Like, did they look for drugs in his pockets instead of like a bulge? Like, what happened? And then was there any issues about preventing crime, any exigent circumstances, or any officer safety? That's for judging the reasonableness of the Fourth Amendment, of whether this search or seizure was valid. Then we go to the next one. Okay, well, if we did a frisk, which means, we patted someone down, well, was this reasonable in scope? And that's the brevity clause. And the brevity clause basically says if an officer has a reasonable articular suspicion that there's crime afoot, or that the suspect is armed or has a violent crime, then they can investigate, but it must be a brief investigation, just enough to dispel any suspicion or any hunch that the officer may have. Okay, then we look at the degree of the intrusion. So just like the government intrusion over here, how much did they intrude onto the suspect? And remember, like I said, it's limited. It's limited to the pat down for weapons, not for heroin, not for weed, for weapons. Okay, so then we go down and we have one more little part of this test, and it's the reasonable suspicion, like reasonable articular suspicion, which is a